Okay, check test 1 2. Looks like we've got audio. It's 7 o'clock. Okay. All right. So we got good audio and looks like screen. Everything's in good shape. So hi everybody. Super happy to be here with you tonight, and yeah, it's a big day today. We'll get to that in a minute. I'll do some shout outs here. Hi Tim, it's so nice to have you in. Great to see you're back from your trip. Tim says, yeah, it was tough to come home. It always is. Yeah, I totally get that one. And then we got Rich in from Germany, Molschbach. A cold 30 degrees out there. And Tim says, and this is Idaho weather, Tim. That's the way it works here. Yesterday was 23, and it was 62 today. It was 58 here today, and it was probably in the 40s yesterday. I don't know. I didn't really pay any attention, but I was out and I worked in the garage with no coat. Wasn't freezing my arse off. Worked on one of the windows and got the other corner window now all polished up, nice and pretty. I got one more to go. I got really lucky, and I don't know. Let's see. I think maybe I can pop this over there real quick, but it might not be on my phone. But I got a Thule box. If you know what a Thule box is, they're the rooftop carriers. This is the Summit, and it's about 89, 90 inches long. And I got it to put on top of the truck camper. I'm going to use it like a storage compartment, a storage container, that I could put like chairs and stuff like that in. Stuff you want to keep in and out of the weather. And so I spent about an hour and a half scraping stickers off of it today before I started working on my windows. So, gosh, it looks like we're going to have a nice crowd tonight, and that's always pleasant. Let's see who else is in. Tom's in. He says it's 54 there at Whidbey Island. No rain. Let's see. Looks like maybe Tom and Tim might get to cross paths. Sounds like Tim's wife, I got to move my camera here, sorry, is headed for somewhere out that way, and they might be getting together, so that would be awesome if that can work out. Always fun to have the family get together. Gray Graybird's in. Hi, Gray. So nice to have you here. KX Racer. Hey, buddy. I been watching quite a few of KX Racer's videos. He's kind of a funny guy. But he's really done quite a lot of work on his truck camper. Man, it's sure turning out nice. I really like the work he did on the inside. So, yeah. Go over and check out KX Racer's channel here on YouTube. Roundtown Scouter's in. Hi. Gosh, nice to have you here from Carlsbad. Two Feathers is in. Hi. So nice to see you. Robert Black, hi, from Houston, Texas, 52 degrees. And Bob Woodard. Great to see you in, Bob. Well, you know, I said today is a big day, and it is. Today is Yellowstone Park's 150th birthday. And here's a little video I shot up there a couple years ago. Well, that didn't work out like I thought it was going to. I must have got the wrong video. I had put together a little movie, and now I got was Yellowstone Falls. But anyway, that's a beautiful place. It looks like my mic might be a little bit hot tonight. Let me tune that down just a little bit so it's not quite so loud. Okay, there we go. So yeah, Yellowstone turns 150 today, and gosh, I've been going there my whole life. And Yellowstone Falls, it's an amazing place. I had a whole montage put together, 3.5 minutes. I don't know what the hell happened to it. I didn't spend a lot of time in front of the computer today because it was so nice, and yeah, you know, it's getting to be on spring, and I'm getting excited. Looking forward to getting out and getting back to work on my truck camper. Mine, unfortunately, won't fit in my garage. I only have a 7-foot door, and my truck camper is a couple inches too tall. I thought about putting it in there. It just wasn't going to work, and the garage is pretty small. There wouldn't have been a lot of room to work in there. So we're just waiting for spring, and it's on its way. We got a couple more days of 50-degree weather, and then it's supposed to snow this weekend here. Let's see, Tom Downey. Oh, he says he's got full hookups. Yeah, interesting. That sounds cool. Okay, gorgeous. Yes, indeed. 150 years since we were there. Well, you're close, Tom. What's your excuse? Geez, it's probably what? Oh, I don't know. You could drive up to Spokane in a day and then make it on into the north entrance of Yellowstone on the next day easy. Of course, in a Class A, it's difficult. Well, there is no camping in the park proper big enough to accept a Class A, I think. They might have changed that. They've been working on a couple of campgrounds. And they're doing some road work, too, this coming year as a heads up. So if you're headed out that way, be prepared for lots of road work in the park. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, it never gets old, yeah. Oh, you're getting your daffodils up. Yeah, I got a couple of crocuses showing their head out there already. So if there are any RV related questions, go ahead and throw them over there in the chat window. It was kind of a slow week. I did put out a video on Sunday, if you've seen it. It's a spring startup video, showing folks how to get their RV ready for spring, or for camping after it's set all winter. And so yeah, that was kind of fun to put together. I've got a couple more I'm working on to fill the time between now and the time I have more content for the truck camper, which should be here real soon. Again, fingers crossed that the weather cooperates. The other thing that's starting, I guess Lent starts tonight. So Mardi Gras has begun. And yeah, that's fun. I've been to Mardi Gras a couple times, but it was because of a past job I had. It took us to New Orleans a couple times during Mardi Gras, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild down there. Tom Downey has a question on tire rotation. Do we rotate on the large tires? No, not necessary. Mostly because you're not going to get that many miles on them, Tom. And I guess you can rotate. I don't know the exact sequence. But yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I've never rotated the tires on any of my motorized, self-propelled RVs. I put them on new, take care of them, pull them off. 6 years. The last set of tires, gosh, I probably had maybe 28,000 miles on them when I took them off. But yeah, they were 6 years old, so they had to go. So yeah, Tim says he doesn't. One other thing that just came to mind here is Graybird has a channel. If you haven't gone out and visited his channel, I invite you to do so. It's pretty fun. He's telling some stories from his past. Okay, Kex Racer has a question. After applying Henry's Tropicool, are you able to use the Dicor sealant on the roof for the roof penetrations? Absolutely. You want to put butyl tape on the back of the flange, right? So like if you're putting in your vent, like a power vent. I know you got, looks like 2 that are going in. You want to put butyl tape at the back of that, screw it down, and then yeah, you can use the lap sealant. The lap sealant will flow and fill all the voids or anything like that around that vent, and so yeah, it'll never leak with the butyl tape on the back and a good bead of lap sealant. Never leak. Yes, it will. KX Racer says, so the lap sealant will stick to the Tropicool. Yes. Yes, it will. Yeah. It sticks to rubber roofing, right? It sticks to EDPM or rubber roofing. So yeah, it'll definitely stick to your Tropicool. No problem. It's the same kind of a compound. A little different surface, but yeah, it'll stick for sure. That stuff really flows out, and within about 2 or 3 hours, it skins over. But yeah, and the lap sealant really never totally sets up like caulking. It always stays flexible, and that's by design. You know, as you roll down the road, things twist and turn and move around, and that could cause a small gap between like the flange of like your vent or that kind of stuff, and then allow water to get in. But if it flows, it continues to flow, if you will. If something like that happens, then it will flow into that. It will just kind of flow into those little spots that may open up as things move and turn and rack around as you go down the road. Two Feathers asks, excuse me. Two Feathers asks, what about a Class C 24-footer regarding rotating tires? And again, I would say no. Mostly because, with radials, you rotate on the same side of the vehicle. You don't cross like in the old days, the old bias plies. We used to cross front to back. But so if you have duals on the back, which tire do you rotate it to? And then you could potentially have 2 different size tires. So yeah, we don't typically rotate on larger vehicles. Greg Raybird says, thank you. Also, congrats on the spring RV video. It's excellent. Thank you. Practical advice. Yeah, I tried to keep it pretty simple. There's a lot more in the checklist than what I could put in the video. I was trying to keep the video down to, I try to keep them around 12 to 14, 15 minutes. If they get much longer than that, people don't watch the whole thing, so what's the sense? I mean, there's a certain proportion of folks that will watch the whole thing. About 30%, usually of all viewers, will watch the video from start to end. But, it varies. Some people come and they're looking for specific information. And so a lot of times they might bounce around. So yeah, but you're very welcome, Gray. It was a fun little video to put together. It's actually the first video I really extensively used B-roll from a subscription service. I subscribe to Storyblocks. I am not an affiliate, but I subscribe to Storyblocks I guess it was probably August, September, somewhere in there. And typically, what those things will give you is like stock audio, stock video, stock images. The thing with story blocks is it gives you transitions and graphics that you can use in Premiere Pro, which is my preferred editing tool for videos. And so yeah, that's really the first video I took the time to go through and pick up B-roll, as we call it, from a subscription service, and I guess it worked out pretty good. I liked the video. I thought it turned out well. Two Feathers comments back regarding rotating the tires on her Class C. Sounds reasonable, but I think my front are wearing out faster than the back. Yes, they will. For sure. In a lot of vehicles, that's why you rotate, unlike your automobiles, is because the front tires do wear out faster than the rear, for a number of reasons. But it mostly because, like, the front has, like in my Class A, the front runs about 12,000 pounds, and then the rear runs about 19,000 pounds. And so the front, you've only got 2 tires. And in the rear, you got 4, and you divide all that weight out across all 4 tires in the rear. And so it gives you more carrying capacity, but it also makes those tires last a little longer. So yeah, it makes good sense. Oh, Tim said, okay. Tom Downey says on his Jeep they do cross side to side each 10,000 miles. We're coming up to 40K miles. Yeah, you can rotate like that. I can't remember. I used to know that, but I haven't looked at it for years. I go to when I get my car serviced, I just have them rotate the tires every oil change. I just have them rotate the tires. It costs you $10-12. But yeah, here's a good example. Like on my Subaru, I replaced the tires. Would have been the fall of 2019. I had 45,000 on the odometer. I had about 80,000 total miles on those tires from towing it. And they were just starting to wear out at 80,000 of rolling down the road. Like I say, it was 45 on the odometer, 45,000. But most vehicles today have electronic speed sensors, and it all works off the speed of it could be in any number of places. But the long short story is that a lot of vehicles don't roll mileage when you're towing them with just the ignition on. The vehicle actually has to be running. I think Rich picked up a Jeep Gladiator that we're going to be doing some work on, actually, coming up here in a couple months. We're going to put his tow bar base plate on, and then we're going to install the Roadmaster Invisibrake while he's here, picking up Rusty the RV, which will be the end of next month. And I have a whole lot of work to do, and so I've got to get started on that, but the weather's got to start to cooperate a little more. It's too expensive, Gray. I'm going to back up. Tim Meyer says he found an RV MX facility that took his basement AC out and AC heat pump. I went through it. New condenser fan motor, all new sealed bearings, and a total clean out. Was getting 100 Fahrenheit heat at 35 Fahrenheit outside air. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. Cleaning those ACs is really important. I was working with, this had been maybe a year and a half ago now, something like that. But a fellow had reached out to me that had one of those basement AC heat pumps, and his control board had gone out and was wondering if I knew where to get one. Well, of course, I sent him to Dinosaur Boards, and Dinosaur has been making. They make the boards for old equipment that the OEMs don't make boards for. Like my Atwood furnace, if I need a control board for it, I could go to Dinosaur. My old never cold nor cold fridge that was in my Class A, if I would have needed a control board for it, I could have got one from Dinosaur. I actually took the control board off of my old Norcold, and sold it on eBay. Let's see. Storybox costs $360 a year. It's kind of expensive if you're not using it a lot. I'm probably not going to renew with Storybox, to be honest with you, Gray. I'm going to research it again and try another one. I mean, the service has been fine. I just don't do enough videos where I can use the subscription style B-roll. Because most of my stuff, I shoot all my own B-roll. I shoot 90% of my own video. So I guess I'm going to probably not use it next year. Oh, Rich says he copied the instruction sheets, checklists, and stuff like that that I posted with my spring startup article. So yeah, those are going to be real handy, and they may evolve over time, but yeah, they're super handy. Oh, hey, Squared's in from Michigan. Almost warm there. That's good to hear. Yeah, it's starting to feel a little bit like spring here. The sun doesn't even go down until 6:45 here now. Cubby Butler's in. He is 26 degrees in northern Wisconsin. Ugh. We were there a couple days ago, so I hear you. There's warm weather on the way. Trust me. Graybird. Tires on 18-wheeler practice is to use new tires on the front. They're then recapped and used on trailers. Also recaps on tractor drive duals. Yeah. Yeah, they use a lot of recaps in the trucking industry. I'm sure that, the tires that I took off my RV, when I changed them, instantly went into the recap pile because they'd never had a hole in them at all. And they always look for good carcasses to do those recaps. Oh, Tom says the new radials don't care like the rod radials did. Okay, gotcha. Hey, Tim. So nice to have you here. Sorry about my voice. He's coming in to us from Georgia, and he says he's going camping soon. Well, I'm toying with the idea of going fishing on Thursday. If it doesn't look very windy, I think I might head up to Silver Creek. It's maybe an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from here, and go over and do some fishing myself. I'm thinking about doing it Thursday. We'll see. Tom Downey says, on his Jeep, change the front bumper to a better bumper and bolt the tow bar directly to the bumper. Yeah, you can do that. The nice thing about this is a Blue Ox, and he's getting the Blue Ox tow bar with the rig, with the RV, and so I needed a base plate. And what I like about them is that all there is 2 little holes where the pins are. I wish I had my I don't think I've got a picture of that handy. But yeah, I like the look of the But I mean, bolting it right to the bumper isn't bad either. I've seen it done both ways. KX Racer asks, do I have any experience using Geocell Proflex RV sealant for sealing the exterior of the camper? No. But I'll tell you what I was going to use for mine. And you're kind of already past the point. But I was going to use Sikaflex. Sikaflex is amazing stuff. It's really, Sikaflex is used in the marine industry mostly, but a lot of rebuilders will use it, on campers. On some of the schoolies I've seen built have used Sikaflex. So I'm going to use Sikaflex. I've used it in the past, and it's pretty good stuff. And then on my corners, similar to what you did, except there's a butyl tape available that is built for corners, and so it's wider, and it's it's like maybe 1 3/4, maybe 2 inches wide. Hang on just a second, folks. I need to clear my throat. Although it was pretty nice today, it was cold. And I did get my whole house humidifier installed that I was mentioning last week. And the humidity slowly starting to come up. So hopefully next week it'll be up into a more normal range. At one point last week it was 4% humidity inside my house. All the floors are creaking because they're all dried out and shrunk up, and I've noticed that. So it's going to take a while for the house to equalize. I mean, when you're in that dry of a climate, the walls dry out, and every bit of that will suck up moisture that's in the air. So it's going to take some time for it to come back. But I'm sure that's what's been causing all my congestion and all this crud in my chest and stuff. Oh, Tim Meyer says he was camping in Georgia 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Oh, and Eric made it to the granola state. 78 today, 59 Friday. Sounds like Tim's got a similar setup with just the two receptacles. There's just two pins about 8 inches long that lock in. I think it's a great system. And I never had a lick of trouble with mine. You just hook it up and go. I have a safety routine that I'd walk around my vehicle every time I'd stop and check, make sure all my pins are there and that everything was connected and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I never really. I had somebody steal the pins. The locking bail pins, what do they call those? I should know that. But anyway, the pins that pin the tow bar to the bumper, if you will. Somebody swiped them off the back of my RV one time, and I had to drive 63 miles to town to get replacements before I could leave from where I was at. I couldn't find them locally. And I didn't have a spare. Now I do. Tom Downey says, "Oh, they just lost their RV freezer, the Norcold. T2 died, and no one makes parts." Yeah, well, what happened? Because, like I said, dinosaur boards sometimes will have boards if it's a board issue. If it's anything else, there's probably you might reach out to those companies that do the Amish kits. And they might have, a replacement, or might be willing to rebuild yours for you. But I think it's probably just as easy to go buy a new one, because by the time you goof around with something like that, spend a lot of money on it, you're probably into it for more than if you just went and got yourself a new Dometic. No such thing as, well, Norcold's still there, but Dometic owns them. Hey, Rich, thank you, brother. That's amazing. I surely appreciate that. Super chat. Wow. Wow. Let's see. JC Refrigeration. Yeah, that's one of those guys. Tim Myers was just suggesting that Tom check out JC for replacement guts. This is the freezer, and it sits in the basement. It's probably on a tray. And if it's 16 years old, you got your money's worth out of it, Tom. So you're probably, I don't know, what does it cost to replace, what's it cost to replace one of those freezers? Tom Downey's going to send an email picture of this setup for his Jeep. No base plates, blue ox is the same pins. Okay, yep, for sure. Yeah. Sorry, I am just blocking something out here. Spammer. Getting rid of them. Thank you, Robert Black. Very much appreciate your super chat tonight. Wow, you guys are so generous. I do greatly appreciate that. Okay, so Robert Black, yeah, the house needs to be healthy. Yeah, just for sure, for sure. I think it'll also, if I get a little bit more humidity in here, it'll help with the dust. This house is really dusty, I've noticed. Ben Demby asks how my dad's doing. He's doing fine. We speak very regularly, and he is completely off the walker now. I guess he's getting around with, he has a walking stick that he's using. So yeah, I guess they're doing great. I called my spies, the neighbors, and asked them to, they check on him regularly, and so they go down and check it out. So I've got eyes on the situation too. Tom says he junked it. Yeah, I totally get that one. KX Racer. Do I have a plan, or did you decide on what you're going to do with fixing the aluminum? I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to do what we spoke about. But here's what I found in a junkyard: a hunk of aluminum that has the right texturing. It's not the right layout. Let's see. So here's a typical piece of my sighting, okay? And this is called Mesa Sighting. And the reason it's called Mesa Sighting is because if you look, this piece isn't really good. Let me grab this other one. Yeah, this one you can really see because it doesn't have stripes on it. But you can see, if we look at it here, you can kind of see how there's a bump and then there's a valley. So that's the mesa and then the valley. And if we look at it at a cross section, let's see, if I show it like that, you can kind of almost see how this is. And the problem I was running into is I could not find replacement siding with this pattern, okay, with the right mesa and the right valley dimensions, okay. So what I did was I got some aluminum, and I'm going to do what we spoke about a couple weeks ago, and I'm just going to solder a patch in. I only have like 2 holes. I didn't fill the holes. I didn't have big holes like you did. I noticed that you were filling that were, pretty large. So I'm just going to solder them in, and then I'm going to body putty it. I'm going to go ahead and paint, and I'm sure you are too, planning on painting the whole rig. I'm going to go ahead and paint mine. And what I can't decide is if I paint it white or I color match it to the pickup. I think the color matching it to the pickup would be really cool. It might look really cool, but also it's a dark color, and dark colors get warmer, especially when you're out in the summer and there's sun on you. That's the beauty of having a light color. But of course I wouldn't paint the roof, and the bulk of the sun and the heat's going to be on the roof. Of course, I mean, you know, I could find shade, but then my solar is going to be impacted. So there's all this balancing that you end up doing when you try to find a place to park. And my thought process goes into, okay, so if it's a dark color, then it's going to gain a lot of heat, and it could be difficult to keep cool, and those sorts of things. So I'm on the fence whether I paint it white or a light color, or I color match it to the pickup. I haven't decided yet. I don't have to decide that for a while yet. Two feathers, nice, Rich. Yeah, cool. Tim Myers, my bad. Thought he was talking about the the fridge inside. Yeah, no. It was his freezer. Oh, he says, I'm not going to replace the freezer. This is for Tom Downey. We don't use it that often. It's now my new toolbox compartment. Yeah, I never had a freezer. I carried a toolbox. Yep, I sure did. Yeah, that's a good point too, Eric, to put color in the pattern on the camper. I thought about kind of some kind of a stripe, accent stripe up the sides that matches the truck. Stick with white. Excuse me, stick with white on the camper. Yeah, and then of course, let's see, Two Feathers and Gray Graybird both had the same idea, paint it camo. I have never been a huge fan of camo anything, okay? I wore too much camo when I was in the military, and yeah, so I don't think we'll be doing camo. But definitely the chance of a pattern, some kind of accent stripes or something like that on the truck camper for sure. KX Racer asks, do I have to repair any large tears in siding? If so, what are my plans to fix that? Luckily, no. I noticed that you had some pretty good tears in a couple of the pieces on your rig, and I think what he did. You could go watch the video. He just posted it just a couple days ago, but it's over on his channel now. Of him working on it. I like the idea of doing the rivets. I think you kind of overkilled it on the rivets, to be honest with you. I think one in each corner would have probably been fine, particularly where you were backing it up with the Eternabond tape. So yeah, I think what you would do is cut yourself a patch over to cover that seam, and then rivet either side of it. That's really about, the only difference between doing the rivets and the soldering, and the reason I'm sort of leaning towards soldering, is because then you don't have any rivet heads to deal with. Yeah, so that's probably what I was going to... I'm trying to think. I do have one piece that tore on me. And but it was a really short piece that went underneath a window. And so I'll probably do something similar to what you did on yours with the Eternabond on the back of it to make sure it's sealed. Because, again, it's under a window. And but I was out and looked today, and my siding is destroyed. It's just dirty because I took it off and piled it up on the grass outside because I had no other place to put it, and put some wood on it, pallet wood, to keep it from blowing around. And so yeah, There's a few dents and dings and some bends and twists in it that I was just going to use a plenishing hammer and a dolly, to tap out, straighten out any of the kinks and bends in the aluminum siding. There's only a couple. I was very careful, taking its siding off. But, when you're working with a 15-foot long piece of siding, and I noticed you had your wife and your buddy in helping a couple times hanging up those longer sheets of siding. It's really flexible, and they tend to want to twist, which is going to put a kink in it. And so, yeah, that... And yes, KX Racer, it is very difficult to get the aluminum off the camper and not have any of the pieces tear or get mangled. I got really lucky, but I'll tell you what, I had to go buy a staple puller, and I bought a heavy-duty staple puller. I thought I had one, but I didn't. But yeah, this is a staple puller, and I used the staple puller, and I had to pull staples, and a lot of my staples were rusted in, like I'm sure yours were too. And getting rusty staples out of wood is a pain in the rear for sure. But yeah, I tried to pull every staple before I ever tried to pull the siding off. And in some cases, I actually just had to cut the staples to get it freed up. Okay, so yeah, I saw that question come through, and I meant to answer it. Let me go back and just, so I don't miss it. From Robert, the Micro Air Easy Start for his main AC. Any experience with them? Yes. I helped my buddy put one in his fifth wheel about 4, 5, 6 years ago now. What an Easy Start is that it's another set of capacitors that go in the AC. And remember, we've spoken about this before, but when you first start an electric motor, like a compressor or a fan, it takes extra electricity, extra energy to get that thing started, and that's called inrush current. And if you're trying to run on your generator, or you're trying to run, I guess, on your solar, off the inverter, if you will, your AC, that inrush current might be more than your equipment, your inverter or your generator can supply, and it will trip them. And so what the Easy Start does is it builds up a little bit of extra energy to take care of that inrush current, the inrush current demands, which keeps it from spiking and tripping the breaker on your generator, or tripping out your inverter or causing other trouble. And they are fine pieces of equipment. I would not have any questions about putting one on a rig at all that I was going to run AC off a generator or stuff like that. Now in Class A's, like our new Mars, the generator's big enough that you don't have to worry about that too much. I never had any problems running my AC on the generator. Never tripped out once. And we've spoken about this, it was last year, and I'd be happy to go over this again, about the economics of running your AC off of solar and your batteries. And yeah, it could be done. It definitely can be done. I've done it. I moved a breaker, from the pedestal power over to my inverter power, and I ran my front AC off of my lithium batteries. But I could do the math, and the writing was on the wall, and I was only going to get maybe an hour and a half of cooling before my batteries were completely flat. And I just decided that rather than kill my batteries, I would just, if I needed AC, run the generator. But yeah, they're good stuff. Okay, trying to catch up here. Camo paint for stealth boondocking. Yeah, Graybird. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Tom Downey says, remember to keep the tow bar level. Introducing an angle will weaken it if you have an accident. Yes. Yeah, it as level as possible. I had my RV, and I think the Gladiator hopefully will be in the same. In fact, I'm sure it will be about the same height, maybe just a little taller. But yeah, the setup on my RV was nice, and my car towed. Actually, my car towed with the angle down a little bit. Maybe 5 degrees. So it was probably an inch difference between the center line of the tow bar at the RV and the center line of the pins in my car, and it towed great that way. But yeah, you want to be as level as possible for sure. KX Racer asks, do I plan to have an AC in my truck camper? Well, like yours, there was an AC on the roof, but it had been removed by how long ago? Who knows? It's not there. There's just a patch on the roof where the compressor unit would be. I'm on the fence about that. ACs are really expensive. On the lines at $1,200. And I don't plan on being in RV parks a lot. The reason I'm getting my truck camper is to do, boondocking, off-grid camping. Now, that's not to say I won't be in RV parks, because I absolutely will. I'll do what I did when I was full-time and in the Class A, is, I'll hit an RV park for a night to grab water, charge batteries, that kind of thing, and then move on to another dry camping site. So I don't know that I'll have a lot of opportunity to use an AC, and so right now I'd have to say I am leaning towards not. Now, I live in a dry climate, and I totally get that humidity is a total biatch, okay? And it really makes things miserable. I spent enough time in Ohio. I spent about 3 weeks in 2012 doing music festivals and going to Sandusky and all that stuff. And talk about a hot, muggy place in the summer. That's Ohio. Well, it's got nothing on Arkansas, I'll tell you that. But, when it's hot and muggy, that makes it pretty miserable. And so that's the beauty of having AC. My plan is just to stay at altitude. Try to stay up, where it doesn't get to 90 degrees. And the thing about, being in a dry climate is you don't have to deal with humidity. So 90 degrees, although it's warm, you step outside, the sweat evaporates off you, which cools you. In, humid climates, Ohio, Arkansas, Pennsylvania, humidity is something you have to deal with. Okay, X-Racer says he put a 5,000 BTU window unit in the rear wall. I tested it and it pulls 500 watts when compressor is running. Pretty efficient. Yeah. If you're going to run that, though, off your batteries, you might need to get a soft start of some sort for that as well. Because, again, it may pull enough that it trips your inverter off. Because, for example, when I was rebuilding the furnace, I guess I shouldn't say rebuilding, doing a tune-up kit on my furnace out of my truck camper, I tested the fan motor, and, it would run wide open at 3.4 amps, but it would peak to at least 6 amps when it first started turning. So, that inrush current is a real thing to be dealt with. Tom Downey says, we have been camping with our Newmar about 20 years. We've only used AC 1 week in Texas. Two Feathers says it was 120 degrees the last time I was in Idaho. You're kidding yourself. It's never that hot here. I wasn't here, but on July 6th last year, it was 106. And that's pretty damn hot for Idaho. You know, that's pushing it. Boise gets a lot hotter than over here on the eastern side of the state, because Boise is, 1,500 feet lower in altitude. And, but yeah, 120, that's pretty hot. That's when you take and set the compass on the north arrow and drive till you're at 7,000 feet. Island Park. There's so much free camping up in that area. I know because I've spent many, many weeks up there. In fact, Zach and Tiff of Rolling Vistas, who have since retired from the road, bought a house there in Alabama. But they spent, I think, 9 or 10 weeks in the Island Park area and, doing the same thing. They would go out, dry camp, go back to the RV park or to a campground, park for the day, charge batteries, get water, dump tanks, do all that kind of stuff, and then head back out. And you can easily do that up in the Island Park area. There are so many great spots up there. Kex Richard says, it works in the system, but it won't run for long. As I stated, maybe 5 hours. Yeah, and then your batteries are going to be totally flat, and you won't be able to watch Netflix at night. Graybird, Boise, 108 degrees Boise, but 10% humidity. Yep. Yeah, the humidity makes all the difference, really. I mean, that's why I complained a lot about Tucson having, set down their last, 2 years ago now, when this whole coronavirus crap started. I spent, the month of May in Tucson, and it was warm. And I ran my AC down there, I'll tell you that much. But it's so dry that, again, you go outside, your sweat evaporates, and you're good to go. Let's see. Yeah, I got you 2 feathers. Okay, Tom Downey says we're at 136 feet. That count? Well, you're on the coast, right? So you have that huge moderating body called the Pacific Ocean that sucks up a lot of heat, and it keeps your weather nice. It's like Tom says, you probably camp mostly in the Pacific Northwest. And, with the exception of a couple of weeks a year, you probably don't ever need AC. There's times that you do and you wish you had it. But, that's, if I'm out in that kind of weather, I'm usually near water, and I'll just go jump in the water for a while. Tim Meyer says, I use my AC. I tell the wife she can always add clothing if she's cold. There's only so much I can remove and stay out of jail, not to mention the emotional damage to all that could witness that. Yeah, I've said that forever. But I'll tell you what, next year you won't see me in Idaho in January. I'll be south. I'll be somewhere warm. Greg Graber says, yeah, go on up to Chalice and Boondock on BLM, camp on Forest Service. Yeah, I definitely have plans to get up into the whole Chalice area, Clayton, Mackey. I'm going to fish that whole stretch up through there. I love the area around Redfish. There's plenty of free camping, Forest Service camping up there. I mean, I've been camping in that country my whole life, and so I know tons of spots there. I also have really good friends in Chalice. And so I would go to Chalice probably and stay in their front yard, or park on their curb or something for the night, and so we can visit and have a nice picnic or something like that. Maybe go and have a cocktail. But yeah, there is tons of free camping, and that's the beauty of having a smaller rig. Not that I didn't love the Class A, and in fact I had many spots that I could take the Class A. that were, in places I wanted to be. Wow, that hour got by fast. I forgot to do my obligatory commercial. If you like the content, be sure and give me that thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Ring the notification bell. You can support the channel by visiting my Amazon store. There's a link in the description below. And of course, as an Amazon affiliate, I get a small commission, but you pay the same price. It also helps a lot when you go over and check out my website at trbullen.com. Lots of content over there. In fact, I've got 2 articles I'm working on right now that should be posting here real soon. Sam Allen, you might remember he, a couple weeks ago, had questions about those SOK batteries, the lithiums. Good night, KX Racer. We'll see you. Be safe. And he got me really started on a whole thread, and so I'm working on a couple of articles around lithiums and battery charging and stuff like that, because there's so... maybe time for me to go to bed too. There's so much information out there, but it's so willy-nilly, and so I'm trying to put it into human terms, if you will. Tom Downey says they used to go to McGee. They love it there. Yeah, McGee's a good spot for sure. And then there's Anderson Ranch up around, up out of Boise in the Fairfield area. Gosh, I could go to a different free camp spot, every day for 4 months and never hit the same spot. There's that many camping places up here. That's the beauty of the West. I'm not knocking the East, because the East is beautiful and wonderful, and I've got lots of friends out there too. But the amount of public land out there is, pales in comparison to what we have here in the West. All right, coming up on 8 o'clock, and so I think probably we might wrap her up here. We'll set for a few more minutes. You know what I'll do? I'll share this with you again. I think this is such a beautiful little video. I'll share a little bit of this with you, and then we'll come back and wrap things up. So, happy birthday to Yellowstone National Park. Happy Lent, if you're of that inclination. Just a quick something that popped up while I was sitting here. If you have to have things removed from your body, skin, like a lot of us do, okay, so I grew up, in the 60s. We didn't know sunscreen, and I've got spots and stuff on me that I've had scraped off and, surgically removed. And about, I guess it was 3 weeks ago, I had this thing burned off my hand right here. And I asked my doctor, I said, what are you going to do with this? And so this is the cautery Dee Woober that, I don't know, can you really see this? Let's see. Can you see this? Let's see. I don't know, it's really hard to see, isn't it? But this is the pin that they used to burn, right? To seal this up because it was bleeding like crazy. I says, what are you going to do with that? And he says, well, here, you can have it. They throw them away. And, man, I've used this thing a couple times. It's really been handy. So if you happen to have that done, and they're using one of these disposable cautery pins, tell the doc to give it to you. You bought it. All right. We're going to call it good for tonight. Hey, thanks, everybody. It's so nice to have everybody here. Well, we'll be back next Tuesday night. Same bat time, same bat channel. And until we get together then, peace. Good night. I'll leave you with this. We'll see you.